All right, gamers. Big news this week. We have a certain co-op bug squashing game that was a PlayStation exclusive is dropping barriers and jumping over to the Xbox. It's been on Steam, so that's not really a huge deal, but we'll get into the details. And then we finally are going to dip our hands back into a major fan-led initiative to save gaming as we know it, it would seem. And the fog is about to get much more deadly as one of TV's best horror series is about to invade Dead by Daylight. So let's boot up and jump in to this week in the gaming and tech news. Welcome once again, nerds, to the Clips channel. This is a smaller portion of a much larger video called The Week in Nerddom that happens over on the main channel. This portion is specifically the gaming and tech portion, where we're going to be talking about brand new things in the world of gaming and tech. So like new computer things, we don't really get too deep into that. I feel like the guys over at Linus and Gamers Nexus and such cover that fairly well. So we'll get the broad strokes there. We'll get in a little bit more deeply in the gaming side of things, so new announcements, DLCs, etc., etc. And then, you know, we're going to suggest some things for you to try out between now and next time you come back. So thank you for joining me. Let's get into the news.
Subscribe. That is all.
Follow-ups and corrections is going to be a large portion of gaming and tech this week, so let's go. First thing in follow-ups and corrections is our biggest piece for this section, and that is the Stop Killing Games initiative. So the UK, or the EU initiative rather, it finally crossed 1 million signatures, which is huge because that is the minimum that they need to get it in front of the parliament or whatever the governing body of the EU is. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they are looking to get at least 200,000 more signatures. So if you live in the EU and you have yet to sign it, you still have time. The deadline is the end of July. So July 31st is the deadline for this. If you haven't signed it, that's how much longer you have. The reason they want these extra 200,000 signatures is because they're just in case some of the other signatures don't qualify for whatever reason. I have been told, I have not tried to sign the petition, so I don't know if this is legit or not, but I have been told and I have read through less than reputable sources that in order to sign the petition, you have to have an identification card or an identification number of some sort that proves that you live in the EU. I don't know how they do their driver's licenses or birth certificate number. I don't know what it is. Social Security, whatever it is. That's what we have in the States. Whatever it is, you have to prove that you are an EU citizen of some sort, at least according to some reports. So I don't know how much of those 200,000 are absolutely required. They're just trying to get these 200,000 in order to cover their butts. So if you have yet to sign it, please go sign it. If you don't know what the initiative is, this is a group of consumers, a group of gamers who have put this together. We're not going to get into the fine details of the history because there is a lot going on in the background of this, but basically it is a petition for Parliament to pass a law, the EU Parliament, again, I don't know exactly the name of the governing body, but for them to pass a law that would require game developers to do something to sunset their games, because paying, you know, $80 is where we're at these days for games. Paying $80 for a game that requires online connection is fine as long as there are servers to connect to. I don't know, fine is a very strong word in this case, but for the for the points of this argument, it's fine as long as there are servers to connect to. Once the developer no longer supports that game, they shut down access to those servers, then you paid $80 for a game you can no longer play. So the idea is the Parliament, or again, governing body in the EU, needs to pass a law, and I would imagine if this happens that the US and the UK are not far behind, but they need to pass a law that requires developers to do something not to maintain those servers infinitely. They don't have to perpetually support the game. That's not what the petition's calling for. It's calling for sunsetting, an appropriate sunsetting. Something that creates, that no longer requires the online connection, no longer requires connection to those servers, or allows for the community that springs up around these games to manage their own servers. That the game can then connect to community servers, because the company is no longer making money on this game, so what does it matter? Like, just, again, this is really broad strokes. This is not the fine details. If you want those, go check out the link in the description. It'll get into much more fine details. From there, we have a piece about Helldivers that is going to be quick, because Helldivers is coming to the Xbox, which kind of makes sense, but it doesn't all at the same time. What I mean by that is Helldivers is published by Sony. It is not owned by Sony. They did not develop the game. However, they have a contract with the developers, and that contract, it states that it is a Sony published game. They are the ones who put it out. So it makes sense that it was a Sony exclusive. Not the first time that a Sony exclusive is finding its way over to the Xbox, but this is the first time that it is a Sony published game that is finding its way over to the Xbox. So this is kind of huge in that, like, this is a sign of coming times. We're not quite to this point, but with all of the stuff going on behind the scenes at Microsoft as far as Xbox is concerned, and calling every console type under the sun and Xbox, like, this is the direction that Microsoft is pushing things, and it seems that maybe Sony is actually following suit. The one stalwart, the one holdout at this point seems to be Nintendo, but are we really surprised by that? Because it's always been Nintendo. They started this game. They're going to be the kings of this domain for a long, long time. So super interesting on that one. August 26th is when it will be officially launching on the Xbox. If you want to go subscribe, that's not the word I'm looking for. If you want to go reserve, there you go. If you want to go reserve your copy of the game, you can do that right now. And it presumably it is going to be cross-platform, though I have not seen any explicit language in any of the releases about this saying that. But it is cross-platform from Steam to PlayStation, so I can't imagine it's going to be that much more difficult to add cross-platform functionality on the Xbox, since Xbox and Steam are very similar as far as the coding goes, from what I understand. So that's what we have on that. Let's talk about trailers this week in gaming and tech, and we have a new Dead by Daylight trailer that revolves around The Walking Dead. Yes, please. I have not played Dead by Daylight, so I'm unaware of, like, the amount of fun, but the more we can get Walking Dead stuff out there, the better, I think, because I'm just a huge fan. So if you're curious, go check out the trailer. Links in the show notes for this episode. It's, whatever. We're just going to continue on. We have no regular ass news this week. We only have suggestions. Our suggestion for this week's episode of Gaming and Tech is a YouTube channel, actually. A YouTube channel called Brett in Tech. This is a fun channel that is tech related. By and large, there's some gaming stuff on there too, but by and large, tech related, and it's really just a lot of cool things that you didn't necessarily know you could do with your computer, or a bunch of free software that is recommended, or if you're looking to get into a certain thing and you don't, the barrier for entry is too high because you can't afford to pay for, say, Adobe. He has lists of places where you can find alternative to Adobe products, and he has lists where you can find, there's these free things that make this stuff easier, and so on and so forth. It's just a really great little channel that has a bunch of helpful tips, and also he does videos of, like, how to operate this certain software and stuff. So and I wanted to get away from the gaming stuff in gaming and tech as far as suggestion goes, and this is a great little breath of fresh air outside of that. So that is our suggestion for the week. Go check them out. All right, nerds, interrupting real quick. We're doing the year of the merch push, right? So this whole season we're going to be pushing the merch, and this specialty merch that we have that we talked about last week, that I finally got up last week, is still going. We still have the special music nerd shirt, the Phantom Nerd, if you will. If you get the joke, then you are a fan of the channel, and I appreciate your face. If you don't get the joke, you just think it's a really cool shirt, then I also appreciate you. So don't worry about it. But I am super super proud of this design. It's on everything. I finally found the zip-up hoodie, so it's now on the zip-up hoodie as well. We got it on all of the regular t-shirts. We got stickers. We got everything that your little nerdy heart could desire. I'm again, super proud. Go check it out. Link in the description as usual. Go get your nerdy merch and support the channel that way. Otherwise, let's just get back to the show, shall we? Thank you very much, nerds, for tuning in. If you want to level up your nerdy, geeky, pop culture knowledge, then don't forget to subscribe and do all of the things. Go check out the main channel, Generally Nerdy, for the larger portion. Again, you get all of these sections into one convenient video over on Generally Nerdy. The name of the show is The Week in Nerddom. Thank you for checking out this clip. We will see you next time. Before we go, though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, probably here.